thanks everybody for turning out. We have got a lot to do today. So I'm gonna, because Laura has got a very limited window, I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward to her update on the Canopy event in San Francisco. And then the IDC folks will be joining at about 8:15 to start to continue their report out from the market research. So Laura, let's go ahead and get started on your update.
Please remind yourself of the terms and conditions of this meeting and of the LF if you need to. Slides are available from previous things. That's fine.
Exactly. So usual reminders. LF. We abide by the rules of the LF. We abide by the antitrust policy. Any questions, let us know. All right, onward to Canopy event, San Francisco, October 20th. Laura.
Hi, good morning, good evening, everyone.
Hello, Laura.
How is everyone doing today?
We're okay.
Good. Thank you so much. So it looks like we do have a few people that have signed up for this, but we are precariously low on registered folks for this event. So we have 8, including myself. So that's not great. I'm hoping that we can do a call to action to all of our customers, both attendees and speakers. We do have definitely easily fill 3 of the speaker sessions, probably 4, but we really are looking for those last 2. And as a reminder, we're looking for customer stories, examples of how confidential computing has been used or will be used in a enterprise environment, so we can educate the attendees that are coming. As a reminder, you also can sign up to join the event so we can track who will be attending. It'd be fantastic. Of course, we know Mike will be there. Thank you, Mike.
Good news, I will now no longer be there. Sorry, I wasn't aware this hadn't been communicated.
Yeah. So Mike? Laura, we'll catch this in our sync on Thursday, but I think it's so Mike, we'll talk about OSFF and places where Mike needs to be. Mike B needs to be.
So conflict.
We've had an emergency conflict.
Okay.
Really sorry.
Oh, actually, thank you for taking up that mantle. So I didn't realize that is kind of you. Thank you for that. That's great, actually. So we will definitely be able to do, we will try and fill your very large shoes. So how about that?
They are size 12 US. That's fine. Carry on.
Okay, so we will. So if you can definitely sign up if you're going to be attending, that'd be great. As a reminder, there's a call for speakers, and in the speakers, if they do not want to submit, if it's too hard for them to submit into the actual web page itself, if they're having trouble with that for whatever reason, they can send it to you as a CCC member, and then you can share that with myself, Mike Farron-Jones, and Mateus Guzzo, and we're happy to review all of those abstracts. Right now, we have 2 that have come in the last week, so that's great. Though those partners or customer submissions have not been they haven't actually applied for the workshop itself, and maybe they're waiting to see if their abstract is accepted before they do apply to go. And if that's the case, that's fine. It's great to know that they're interested. So this is just a call to action to remind everyone to please ask your customers if they're interested in San Francisco. It's going to be October 20th. And then the next day, NVIDIA will be hosting a one-day event that all attendees to the San Francisco event will be able to tour the campus. We will have face-to-face with those enterprise customers, a couple of different roundtables, and lunches will be provided. Yeah, and that will be a part-day meeting as well. That's optional at the NVIDIA campus in Santa Clara. And that's it.
Great.
All right, so call to action for one and all is more invitations. We need more invitations to go out like now. So I'm sure at some point we are going to have to make a decision whether we're a go or no go. And if it's seven bodies in the room or 5 bodies in the room, that's probably not sufficient to justify the work. So we need to get 30 in the room. I would like to see 30. If we can get 25, great. But we need 30 like customers or potential prospects in the room. So if you need the text, hit me on Slack. If you look for my previous email that was sent out to the outreach mailing list, we can, we'll get to the text and the details, but yes, we need to drum up more.
I apologize, but I do have to drop. Thank you guys so much.
Okay. Thanks, Laura.
Thanks, Laura.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you all. All right, we're gonna back up for a second or go back to where we were. Do we have any newbies on?
Yeah, we do. We got Alex from Agile Systems.
Oh, hey, Alex.
Hi, pleasure to meet you all.
Nice. What do you do there at Edgeless?
I'm the new head of marketing. And
Excellent.
Lara, who has been part of the round before, has left Agile Systems. Coincidentally, a day before I joined, she gave me a brief handover, and but I'm figuring everything out at the moment. So apologies if I'm not up to speed here.
Very good to have you. Roth, Alex Roth, yeah.
Roth, you can just go by Alex Roth.
Oh,
Yeah.
Which is correct because I prefer to. How would you pronounce it?
I would actually prefer if you all say Roth as long as I'm in English context. If
I will try and do that then. That's
in German, it would be Roth.
Indeed. Okay.
But we are not German
we'll try and do
speakers.
That. Speak for yourself, Mike. But,
okay. All right.
I'm not fluent.
I grew up in Bozeman, Montana in the 70s and 80s, and I am as monolingual as you get. The attitude of my school board was if English is good enough for Jesus, it's good enough for you. And so we were not read in on other languages. Okay. All right. So our staff, these are folks that are our committee staff. Please reach out to us if we have any questions. Our voting members, I do not think we have quorum today, but that's okay.
Can I just say to Alex briefly that if there's anything I can do as the exec director of the CCC to get you up to speed, help you know more about what we do, all those sorts of things. Felix and people are absolutely fantastic, and you probably have everything you need. But I'm very happy to have a chat at some point. I'm in the UK, so finding a time is pretty simple generally.
Awesome.
Just get in touch, please.
Pleasure, definitely. Let's just connect in the coming weeks, and I would definitely love to have a chat.
Perfect. Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank
Sorry, Mike. Thank you.
Okay, no worries. All right, the stars of the show are our friends from IDC that are going to be joining here in a few minutes. So we're going to move things right along. I do just want to do a quick stop at AI Infrastructure Summit, which we wrapped up last week. We already covered the Canopy event. We have a new one we need to talk about, the Open Source in Finance Forum, or OSSF, and then we'll move on to IDC. So anyone object to approving the minutes from last week? If not, minutes are approved. Usual reminders, the jobs board, anyone hiring, anyone looking to be hired, check out the CCC jobs board. Rian.
Yes, we like to migrate to Git jobs, but none of the people that is currently on the job board have moved their jobs over there yet. So I'll start reaching out to them one by one and just check if those are still available. And if there's anybody new with jobs that they want to put on the board, I can help them get
Yeah, well,
sorted on.
I'm just looking at the Edgeless Systems jobs board, and there are 6 jobs currently advertised there. So, Alex, if you'd like to have free advertising on the CCC jobs board for those, please, we can arrange that. Get in touch with me or Rian or René.
Okay, I'll let
They don't.
our
They
HR
and they
lady
don't need
know.
to be. They don't need to be. Technical jobs. They just need to be jobs which are part of your company and you're a member of the CCC. So as long as they're kind of vaguely confidential computing related to sales, marketing, background, whatever, just should be fine.
Perfect, thanks.
Okay.
Sorry, just
Oh, sorry.
yeah, no, just Rian, I owe you to do some housekeeping on the AMD job postings of the old system. I'll do it this week. Apologies for the delay.
No worries. If you need anything deleted, just let us know. And the moment we have that board empty, we're going to flip over to Git jobs, and hopefully Alex is going to get us a few on there, and then we got the new system that would be self-service.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. The newsletter, of course, one of our primary ways that we get the word out to interested parties. Go ahead and use the content submission form if you have news, updates, new papers, interesting blogs, new videos, new product demos, whatever you may have. Let's go ahead and get those up on the content submission form and drive inclusion in the newsletter. The CCC blog, we need more blogs, and the more technical or the more use case, the better. And then also, invitation to everyone to keep using our member badge and using it to link to the CCC website. Go ahead and use the artwork that's posted on the GitHub. If you haven't been there, how you get there is if you go to confidentialcomputing.io, you select resources. There is a images and artwork link at the bottom of the resources tab, and that will take you to the GitHub where the files are stored, and member badge, mascot, others are located there.
So Alex would be delighted if Edgeless Systems were to have a link from your front page to this as a member, for instance. I'm finding so many things for the new guy to do. It's fantastic. I'm already enjoying it.
I'm making a list.
Okay. All right. AI Infrastructure Summit. So mission accomplished at AI Infrastructure Summit last week. Applause to everyone who chipped in on that one to carry the load. Just real quick, the Enterprise AI panel, Manu from Hushmesh was there. Strong attendance. We promoted the appearance on the CCC LinkedIn, just trying to drum up some visibility that we were there at AI Infrastructure Summit. The pre-show online seminar, this was led by our member company Mainsail, Abby.
It was me and someone from Mainsail. Went very well. Lots of very good engagement. Fewer people than we would have liked, but really good engagement.
All right.
I might owe you numbers for that. Sorry.
Okay, the at show live session. This was led by Invery. Attendees was wasn't super high. There were 6 that were not affiliated with Invery. There was the engagement was pretty good. It was very late in the day. It was like in the time slot tranche that was the last one during the day, and this is in Santa Clara, California. So everyone's thinking about what's the traffic doing. So I am not shocked that the attendance was pretty challenged, but it sounds like those that were there did pretty well. And then the podcast with Tech Arena, Manu and Jason from Hushmesh and Jason Rogers from Invery did that. It went really great. It's been promoted on CCC LinkedIn, and several of our members have amplified it. If you're interested, you can hit it on that link, or just go to the CCC LinkedIn, and you'll find the link to the podcast. So, and the podcast, of course, lives on. So no reason, it didn't die with the end of AI Infrastructure Summit. The booth looks like Mike and Rachel were there from this team, as well as supported by a number of particularly our startup members. So we had good staffing, a lot of, Mike, why don't you go ahead and provide the report? You were there.
Yeah, so it was just busy. I mean, the last day was a bit quieter, but certainly the first 2 days really busy. As you say, we have a little scanning a QR code on the thing, and lots of people scanned that. Some people wanted further information beyond just the scan information, and we had 38 leads where we've got email and or LinkedIn details, and some of those strong, and some of them possible members as well. So very pleased with how that's gone, honestly, and I'll be following that up in the next few days.
Okay, and then just a few photos. This was the AI infrastructure panel with Manu, and then and you'll also look at that CCC branding up there on the backdrop. And then over at the booth where we had our branded table drape, which was used as a backdrop, which I think best known method is table drapes. People can't see your logo. If that's your only branding on the front of the table, they can't find you because it's just a blank wall behind you, and there's people standing around and they can't see the branding. So for future ones, we will probably print this so it could be used as either a backdrop or a table drape, depending on the setup. And then the new stickers with the mascot and our QR code, signed with a QR code, was we got 30 some odd hits from that. Okay, and by the way, thank you to everyone that turned out, whether you're a CCC officer or a member, everyone who signed up and turned out to staff the booth. Thank you for making that a success. Okay, our IDC friends have joined, so I'm going to hustle along here, and so we can get to their update as soon as possible.
Yeah, also just a quick reminder, and we'll look forward to getting the approval by the end of the meeting of the IDC.
Yep.
All right. So new thing on the radar that came pretty fast in the last week is this open source and finance forum put on by an organization called Finos. It turns out that we had signed up for a sponsorship of this way back last year, and with transitions in personnel, that fact got lost. And so we suddenly have this event turning up on our radar the same week as the Canopy event in San Francisco. So we have, in a divide and conquer method, Mike B and Rachel are leading the charge on putting together a presence at OSFF, while me, Laura, and Guzo are focused on the Canopy event in San Francisco. Mike, do you want to maybe say a little bit about where we are? What do you need the members to do?
Yeah, so first of all, we have 15 free registrations. And so if you'd like to come, or if you have a customer or a partner or member of your ecosystem who'd like to come, we can do that. Please get in touch with me or Rachel in order to do that. We've decided not to do a booth, but we have, in very short order, managed to get together a really good track, I think, of 6 different sessions. I say really good. 2 of them are me, so I can't promise they'll be fantastic. But one is a technical introduction, and the other is more sort of about audit and compliance. 3 on AI, but from really different points of view, and another kind of hands-on one from Red Hat. So and I'm doing a 5-minute keynote as well. So actually, it's looking really good. Thank you, Rachel, for scrambling people as well. We've got several members. We've got Frontier X, IBM, Red Hat, and Super Protocol are all speaking as well as me. I think it's going to be very good. It's, finance is big for us, and also the AI overlap is nice as well. So there's an opportunity, yes, to come along and be seen and meet possible customers, or to educate your customers about it. And it's on the 21st, 22nd of October in New York. I have booked my flights, and I look forward to seeing people there. I think that's all we need to know.
Okay, thanks, Mike. All right.
Also, thank you to thanks to the LF folks for Rian and Rennie particularly for making this happen. It was, as you say, a bit of a rush, and we really made it happen. So thank you so much to everyone involved with that.
Okay.
And Mike and Rachel.
Oh, thank you. It's a team effort. One team, one dream, as my old boss used to say. Okay, we're going to talk about, or up next is kind of the main event, where we're going to continue our report from IDC regarding the market research that has been concluded. White paper is being composed, but I think we're going to turn it over to Rob for about 20 minutes of new updates on the research.
All right, thanks, Mike. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Rob Burbach. I'm a research director at IDC. I work in the quantitative research group, and I'm going to try and figure out in Zoom how to share my screen. All right, I'm going to do this. So done some new analysis on this, and it's analysis really in terms of how do we summarize the results and everything that was there. I think that was Mike's request, is how do we interpret things at a higher level and give some direction to CCC in what's the way to go. And so what we've done actually is this new analysis. Surprise, Mike, sorry, but we're just going to walk through it. I want to get your reaction to it, and I think it does a very nice job of summarizing what we see and what the demand is from a needs perspective across all the respondents that we studied in the study. So let's make sure I can make things go forward. Okay. I'm working. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so why have a needs segmentation? So I just want to talk a little bit firstly about the rational approach. So objective, of course, is to expand the use of confidential computing and understand what you need to do to expand it. And so one way that we have to get a better understanding of how to get there is to examine the level of need for confidential computing. And what we did was a very nice exercise at the end. We looked at 16 different possible use cases in question CO1. I'll spend some more time on the next slide walking through that in more detail, but that gives us a very detailed view of what needs they have and where they have it in terms of what's the breadth of their need and what's the width of the, is there a particular area. So what we try to do in cluster analysis is group similar respondents together in terms of the level and types of use case needs in CO1. So I've shown this question there. And what's nice about this is that the analysis really, I think, does a nice job of summarizing the broad mindsets of respondents and looks at how these mindsets differ in terms of firmographics, behaviors, and attitudes. And we'll walk through the results of the analysis in the next 20 minutes. So I have to say the analysis is exploratory. Our assessment is that this model really summarizes the findings well. I talked to both Phil and Meg about this. I reviewed it, and we're comfortable with it. So do we have? We have 5 needs segments, and I just put on some preliminary names on it, but you basically describe the segments. We have a segment that's really interested in supply chain, one who are just generally very worried about the whole space. We have another group, small, 11%, who say they're less concerned. We have an IT security group. They're also quite worried, close to what the worry is there. But it's 23%, about a quarter of respondents there. And then finally, we have a group that are principally interested in P2 protection, about 12%. So how did we get there? First, I just want to share this. I think Mike asked us to share this. This is terms of a detailed assessment of needs and abilities, what they need in terms of privacy, security, and what's the ability of CC to address it. So we walked through this. It was a 2-step question. You can see on the left, there are it's too much to read on the page, but it's a description of what the issue is. And then the right is a description on how confidential computing might be able to address it or should be able to address it. And what we did was he said, okay, to begin with at CO1, we said, gee, is this a big concern to you? How big is it? Is it a critical priority, top priority, lower priority, or not at all? And then we came back and said, okay, well, we'd like you to rank which ones are most concerning to you. And then we said, okay, for each ones that you say are a priority or more, here's how confidential computing can solve the problem. And we showed them this, and we said, gee, how compelling do you think confidential computing is in actually being able to solve this problem? So we have
Sorry, Rob, sorry to interrupt. So folks, what I just wanted to do is that you in the shorthand that you'll see in the IDC slides, they're mostly going to use the shorthand of in the left-hand column. I just wanted to let everyone know what was the more fleshed out value proposition that we put in front of the respondent. So when the white paper is available to members, everybody can see exactly how we phrased and what value we posed to them. So it'll help you put the whole picture together of what was tested.
Okay, can I ask a question as well, which kind of goes back to the slide before, if you don't mind, Rob, which is 2 of those things don't look like the others to me. Very wide and less concerned don't look like supply chain, PI, prescription, and IT security. Why are they worried? That's my
next slide. Actually, you've
okay,
actually got to the question of my next slide. All right. Why?
Okay, sorry, I'll let you carry on then.
So yeah, but at least you're asking the right question. So I'm very pleased about that. Okay. So here we have the needs segments and what use cases drive their needs. So what we're doing in this chart is we're looking at the percent indicating the use case is a critical priority. So why do I say the very worried are very worried? Because everything, if we look at the heat map, is in blue, which means, gee, they're very worried about a bunch of things, especially security workloads from outside attackers. But, they're worried about 8 or 9 or 10 things. What's supply chain worried about? Well, they're worried about assurance of integrity of digital supply chains, and that's about it. A little bit on other places. The less concerned, what are they worried about? Nothing is a critical priority. I mean, I still think there are priorities there, but nothing is a burning issue for them. Whereas IT security, why I've differentiated them from the very worried is, it's interesting, the top response is maintaining privacy of workloads from public cloud providers. So it's the integration that they seem to be most worried about, although they are concerned about other issues to a lesser extent. Finally, P2 or P2 protection. It's protection of personally identifiable information, or P2. So that's their number one concern. They do have a few other concerns, but again, it's very focused in a particular area.
So just to understand, so what I'm hearing is that if there were clear reasons for people to be worried, i.e. supply chain, you call them supply chain, or IT security, you call them IT security, or PI potentially called them that. If not, you kind of just sorted it in this way.
Yeah, basically what we did was we looked at all the cases. We said, how could we group it together? We did it a couple of different ways, and so this is how people group together. Is it could you group?
Yeah,
Okay.
My concern is if I come to this as someone trying to understand what sectors or what needs people are trying to fulfill, I get 3 of them, but I miss loads of really important stuff.
This is why it's a summary.
buckets.
You can dig in. The buckets, though, are the buckets are pretty defined. What's the concern about the buckets?
Well, the very worried and less concerned are completely, they're apples, and supply chain IT security and PII security are oranges. That's my concern.
So they're different groups. Basically, I would look at this and say 2 groups have general concerns. There's 2 groups with 2 segments with specific concerns, and 1 group that really has lesser concerns overall. So that's actually mindset saying general versus specific versus none at all. So let's see how this actually works.
That's helpful. Okay, thank you, Carry on. Mike FJ was his hand up as well.
I'm feeling some of the same thing that Mike Purcell is having, which is I'm perplexed by the categorization.
So this is not something I do. So this is not something I make a bunch of rules to do. What we're doing is actually comparing respondents, grouping them together, and building groups of respondents that are close together. So let me walk through this, and then we can come back and we can talk about whether we think this is actually useful or not. Okay, so if I look at the segments across firmographics, so there's little differentiation need by country. I mean, in India and China, there's a little more on IT security, a little less on very worried, but I'm not seeing a whole lot. Where I see major differentiation is the need by industry. So, 87% of software and information services sit in very worried. 75% of financial services, 67% of healthcare, 58% of government, and the governments they're not sitting in very worried. They're sitting in IT security, telecommunications, and business and personal services. That they have IT security concerns. Supply chain, it's all about energy, manufacturing, education. There are some really stark differences here. And finally, for P2 protection, it's transportation and leisure and retail, which makes sense. I mean, that's they're the most consumer focused of the groups. So what we see here is actually some really neat differentiation here by segment. It says, okay, basically people in software and information services have a very different set of concerns than people in resources, for example, or people in education. So this is part of the power of this moving forward. So let's have a look at their assessment of worry. So basically, if they're very worried, they self-classify as being higher sensitivity than most organizations. On IT security the same way. And everybody else is kind of, it's similar to the sensitivity, but it's not something that's a burning concern. So these 2 groups, what we see, these 2 segments here, the very worried in IT security, what we're seeing is some very high level of concern. How prepared are you? Well, they're a little more prepared, these 2 groups, but basically they're feeling similarly prepared to everybody else, maybe the less concerned, most likely to be less prepared than our industry peers. So does your organization contribute or manage to projects to combine sensitive data sets? Very worried. Oh yeah, that's something we do all the time. Supply chain, but we may start. Less concerned. We're not doing it, and we don't plan to. IT security, we're probably doing it. We're piloting or testing at P2. It may be something that happens. So we see real stark differences in terms of what their assessment of worry, why they're worried about what they're doing. Also, I wanted to look at AO4, which is an average count of threat preparation areas needing improvement. What's interesting is that this is actually quite the count of industries, the average count is quite similar throughout. So they're still concerned. They think they need improvement, but it's what is the investment that they're willing to do in it. They're very worried. IT security, much more likely to be investing in it. Okay, let's have a look at familiarity and use of CC across these segments. How familiar are you? Oh, very worried. Yep, we're very familiar. 41% say they are. IT security is 36%. Others actually much less even familiar with the idea of IT security. If you get, even familiar, you're probably being optimistic. But somewhat familiar, not very familiar. Supply chain, we're really not familiar with CC at all. Less concerned, not familiar. So familiarity is a concern for some of these groups, whereas other ones, you're probably starting at a different place in terms of when you speak to these groups about their level of familiarity with confidential computing. What about adoption? Current consideration
Hey,
adoption.
Rob, can I pause you for just a second? So I'm going to try. I was kind of hoping that things would shift away from these 5 categories. But since the 5 categories looks like they persist throughout the presentation, I want to understand a little bit more about them. So are these viewed as like distinct pools of respondents within the 600? So within the 600, you have the supply chain group is materially different than all other groups. And then you've got a cluster that span, and that group is unique in its characteristics. Then there is a group that we have called very worried. So these are all of the subset of the 600 that we have named this group very worried, and it spans multiple segments and things like that. And is that how I should think about these categorizations? Is that these are clusters within the 600 that we have named?
Yeah, and the names themselves you can change. I mean, the names are something I just slapped on to begin with, just to give an evocative what I think really drives what they're doing. Some of them are obvious. I mean, supply chain, they're worried about supply chain, right? That's why we do it. Whereas very worried, they're worried about a bunch of things. All these.
So yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? So if we can say generic concerns high, generic concerns less, and then supply chain, IT security, and PII. That helps us to think about it, right? Am I understanding it correctly?
Yeah, and if we walk through it, I think probably what you see is, I mean, part of the exercise is we walk through it together, we see where the differences are, where the similarities are, and then say, okay, does this make sense? So, yeah.
I've had a question as well.
Yeah, it is related to what you, Mike and Mike just raised. I think I'm having trouble really wrapping my head about, especially I think the supply chain is the one that kind of I'm having trouble with. For example, so you say these are a group among the the 600 who worry primarily in over the supply chain. Is this exclusive, mutually exclusive, let's say, with very worried, or is it overlap, or like that?
They are all groups that are mutually exclusive at this point. Yeah.
They are all mutually exclusive. Sorry, is that what you said?
Yeah, they're mutually exclusive. Now, it's exploratory. So, but
yeah, I get it. I just wanted to. Okay.
Yeah.
So supply chain concerns. Okay. Well, I guess now I get it.
Okay. I had one other question, sorry, which was that on this slide specifically, 2 weeks ago, your colleagues presented and said that there was 74% familiarity with confidential computing, which is a high number and made me quite happy. But I don't see that in this slide. Okay. Is it? Have I
so if you add up 31%, and 42%, that's 73%. Probably it's around.
Where's that? Sorry, where am I seeing those?
So if you look in the total column.
Got it. So perfect. No, brilliant. That's it. That's all I needed to explain to me. Thank you.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. So I'll just leave a couple more comments on this slide. So basically, I mean, there's currently deployed these numbers, I believe. Piloted or testing use, I mean, you've got 6 confidential computing, 62% of the very word are claiming to be piloting or testing. Very high number there. That's interesting. Planning to deploy in the next 24 months, less concerned, 58%. Maybe this is something you're seeing out there. But I mean, I look at this question and go, but people are quite optimistic when they answer this question. So,
and it also makes a lot of sense that very worried, and there's a lag in terms of time to the people who are less concerned, but the numbers aren't that far different, which is good.
Yeah. Okay. And the other thing I just wanted to include I just wanted to add the average count of other privacy technology questions used. So A15, we asked whether they're using other ones. Very worried are on average using 3.31 other technologies. Less concerned, they're averaging, basically nothing else. 0.6 is their average other. So these groups actually do have demonstrably different behaviors as well, and how they're approaching what their concerns are. Okay.
I think we want. I'm starting to get my head around this. I think the big takeaway for me out of this is we need better names for the clusters, because for example, it's like, if supply chain, the main characteristics of the supply chain cluster is they work in supply chain, then that's, supply chain is a fine name for it. The very worried cluster, we need a better name for it. It's like, these are the cybersecurity worrywarts, and among the cybersecurity worrywarts, these are the responsive. The less concerned is this is the security indifferent, or something like that. Then we've got this cluster of, we've got the cybersecurity professional class, and then we've got we are loaded with personal identifiable information class. And that's when I think when we start to think of these names as they're clusters of respondents within the 600 that have a unique psychographic profile, or unique set of characteristics that segment them off from the other clusters. And so I think if we name them better and describe them better, I think these kind of breakouts will be more impactful. I think right now, as they are currently named, I think people are slowly coming around to the realization of how this works, but I don't think we want to make people do that many mental gymnastics.
No, and that would be part of your exercise, would be to take this and rename it, and do a little. We provide tables and provide a little more to say, this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
All right. What I found interesting actually was benefits and challenges, basically the same. I mean, there are some differences there, but basically everybody's got a pretty good idea of confidential computing, what the challenges are, and what the benefits are. So that doesn't seem to be
that's really consistent,
point of differentiation.
Yeah, nice. That's quite good, I think.
So I think that's good as well. That means you probably don't need to talk about it.
Although the integrity comes out higher than confidentiality, which is kind of weird, given that it's called confidential computing. But okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Right. We're not seeing the last column on the right.
We aren't actually. Yeah, I was cleaning it up, and that's just a total column. So
that's fine. Okay,
fix that up.
That's no problem.
I made a last-second change. And,
yeah. No, that's fine. As long as there's nothing major we're missing, that's all good.
Yep. All right. So then the last slide I wanted to show was just what are the number of use cases at the end where CC would provide a very compelling solution. And I just did this differently in the chart box plot to show you. So you can see very worried, almost 7 different use cases that, CC does provide a very compelling solution. IT security, it's about 5. Everybody else, it's about 2.5.
But if we
is-
compare that to the boxes they were looking at, which
Mhm.
was the need segments, what their use case drives need, that
Mhm.
would make sense, right? Because I'm looking, I
Yeah.
took a screenshot. In the supply chain one, there were 5 different ones, whereas
Yeah.
for the very worried, there were sort of 12 or so. So
12,
those numbers
yeah.
kind of make
So
sense, right?
but we still asked, we went down pretty far. So basically, if we asked this question, CO2, if they said it was a critical priority or a top priority or even a priority, and we followed up. So we're capturing more responses in this than just the top priority. So there's a little.
Yeah, no. So it's the ratios that matter rather than the relative, rather than the
Yeah,
absolute.
yeah, it's the ratios.
And-
yeah, well, definitely.
Yeah, no, perfect.
we'll
That's
follow
great. Those two figures, work together, which is what I was trying to say. It's brilliant. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So basically at this point, I just wanted to say, gee, what does it tell you guys? Just preliminarily, I've reviewed this a little bit with Phil. He would have more comments. I think probably my view is it's a viable approach to better understanding the marketing planning next steps. I think you've seen, although we'll rename them, very worried in IT security, probably the 2 major segments to target initially. They're the most interested in what you have. What's interesting is that these segments do correspond to specific industry in identifying targets. So there are 4 industries for the very worried that are very high, and 2 industries for IT security, which are very high. Basically there. These 2 segments, I think we've already talked about. They also have a broader range of use cases that need addressing. You may find that, and they actually find that confidential computing is more likely to provide a very compelling solution to these needs. So, and I guess my final comment is there's a race for confidential computing in the 2 main segments, with some use of CC, but significant use of other approaches as well. So that would be my other comments. Even for the supply chain PI protection segment, those are probably your 2 secondary segments, and you can have a very specific story focused around what their main concerns are and a targeted response when you talk to them about what their needs are or why they should be using confidential computing. So I think it does provide some interesting way to think about what are the next steps and how do you promote CC.
Absolutely.
All right. So it's not something that's going to sit in a white paper probably, but it's definitely internally it's focused just as a summary. So my last slide, I think we just put this in for Mike. Do we have a way to do heat maps based on this? I think my approach is summary. This is, it's a bit of a eye chart, but it is if you want to look at specific industries or countries, this is something we can do to summarize that.
Yeah, and I think this is the way to. I think these are great because they show the anomalies pretty well. So, and the similarities. For example, where you got this red stripe in the bottom 2 use cases that nobody, either by an industry segment, which is like the first 5 or 6 columns, or in a geography, which is the last 7. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. Those last 2 use cases, maybe the last 3, didn't do a lot for anybody. And across the top, people consistently liked the improved data integrity statement. But what you start to see are these little dark green islands.
Yeah, improved code confidentiality for China and India, and testability for China and India, for instance. I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, so I think those might be some interesting areas for us to double click on why that happened. You also see attestability and authenticate not great in the UK. It's
and Canada. Who knows why?
Yeah. So these are some interesting things. Now, some of them is just going to be sampling error, or the numbers aren't huge in places like UK. It was 70, which is good but not gigantic. So but we do have, other things that make some interesting findings. Like, why did, you look at the difference between France and the UK on data confidentiality with proven technical assurances. France 91, UK 39. What are the Brits up to? Mike Purcell.
I have no
And
idea what we're up to.
Yeah, and that may be partially an industry, depending on the mix of industries in each country. It
Yeah,
may be more
yeah,
or
yeah.
less important. I
Well,
mean,
I
there's
mean,
a
for
little bit of
instance-
that, but not a whole lot.
Yeah,
Could-
the testability, authenticate, officially, that's low in financial services and also low in the UK. That may be partly because a lot of the people serving in the UK were financial services, which is a big industry for us, I guess.
And this
So-
is Meg Dings from IDC. Sorry, John.
hi,
But I think
Meg.
the other element is that we were asked for the top 3. So if they pick something else, then whatever else fell out of the top 3. So it's sort of a trade-off.
Yeah, nice. That's helpful. Yeah.
Could it be as well related to the EU's, like some regulation, something like that? I mean, the
So
Delta.
France and Germany are fairly close for most of them, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ish. Yeah.
Ish. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So
No, it's
I
great.
know we're almost
Go
out of time, and I don't know the beginning of the conversation. I missed that, but our goal here is to be able to move forward with the draft of the white paper. And as Rob mentioned, there are elements here that are interesting to dig into that sort of maybe don't go into the white paper. But really, I think the goal is to put as much as you think is going to be relevant for the CCC community in the white paper, and we can include things like this heat chart type thing in the appendix, if we want to have that level of detail.
I think that's probably good. Do you have the suggested table of contents that we looked at last time, so that we can? Is that a good way to be summarizing?
So
report looks like?
that's in the beginning of this deck, Rob, if you want to flip back to it. But we actually have a full draft that's like a 10-page draft.
Okay.
Mike, I don't know if you were planning on sharing that with everyone, so that everybody can take a look at that, or what are your plans on that, Mike Farron Jones?
Oh, I don't have it. I'd have to dig it up here in the next couple of minutes out of my email. But I think what we're going to do, so our next step is going to be to what we're going to do is just basically say, taking a vote from the among the members via email. And we will say, all right, the proposal is that we are going to advance this table of contents and this outline to the governing board. Does anyone object to this or have suggestions of things that would need to be changed before we advance to the governing board? I would like to, if we're using these same 5 segments, I do think we need to sharpen the pencil a bit around how we represent those segments. And because I think what we saw today was, as they are currently named, they perplex the reader. They create more confusion than enlightenment.
And actually, all of that analysis that Rob just shared is not in the current white paper draft.
Okay.
That was done this week, and the draft was last week. But there's a lot of content that's in the white paper that's just talking about sort of the importance of the topic and so forth, and then looking at kind of the findings overall. So, I mean, you may or may not want this sort of segment analysis in the white paper. That's, I guess, one choice to be made. And perhaps you just want something like the heat charts, or if you like the segment analysis, then we could wrap that into the white paper draft with the updated names.
I think I like it. I just don't. I think we need to do a little bit more setup to help understand what it is. Because even if we just used, cluster A, cluster B, cluster C, cluster D, cluster E to name them, I think it would have been more clear. So we need a better name for cluster A and a better name, and then a description. Cluster A looks like this, and then cluster B looks like this. They are skewed into these industries, they are skewed into these job titles, they are skewed into these locations. And so I think if we do that I think is really helpful. But so anyway, sorry, we got to keep moving. But yes, we'll go ahead and put out the vote to email, and we're gonna request that members take a look at the proposed outline, and that the question is, do we advance this outline to the governing board and get it approved so IDC can keep moving forward? I think IDC is going to keep moving forward while we have that approval, but we need to do the official thing among the members to say, are we approving to advance this out of the outreach committee and onto the governing board?
And to be clear, the governing board generally approves things that come up from the other committees. Secondly, we have a meeting on next Wednesday, so this is not a long-term. It's not a slowdown.
Yep.
Okay. And we actually have moved beyond this outline. We have the full draft of the white paper. So we'll wait for feedback on that draft white paper before we can do anything else.
All right. Let's advance what is the current state of the art with respect to the draft white paper to the outreach members for approval, and then onto the governing board. Let's not throw the full draft at the governing board now, because I think that's too much for the gears to process.
Mike, just purely from a logistical perspective, can we limit set the deadline for the voting? Because otherwise it will drag.
Oh yeah, it's gonna go fast. You have like 24 or 48 hours kind of situation.
Is it is there a form somewhere, or I just want to make sure we are capturing properly. I'm okay with the outline, by the way.
Okay.
Our LF friends Renew and Rian will help with the voting. They're very good at that.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Sorry it took us a while, but I think we understood. We just want to make sure that we don't have other people having to ask the same questions in as much detail. But there's some really good analysis here. This is great from my point of view, certainly.
Yeah. No, I think it's great.
Rob. Thanks, Mike. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody from IDC. Thanks, all members. We will see you in 2 weeks.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.